Good morning. This is Joe Shoup. Welcome to the Breakfast Club, and with my co-host Mark Stevens. Mark, good morning.
Morning, Joe. How are you?
I am fantastic and amazing. How about you?
Well, I am heading to phenomenal today. Great things coming down the pipe. I'm excited about this last in the series of the onboarding today.
Yeah, we have a little bit of a talk here today. We've been through part 1 and part 2, and for those of you that have not listened to that, you really need to go to the YouTube channel, go to your replay or whatever. But on the YouTube channel, Shirley or Colleen can put that in there, how to get there, by going to YouTube and searching those videos out. So if you guys could put that in there, that would be great. Colleen and Shirley are moderators, and they'll be able to do that. If you have any questions, you also can put it in the box. If you're looking at the webinar now and you're not finding or hearing or whatever or seeing, there's a little box in there. They'll give you instructions for that as well, how to get to YouTube and do that. You need to just click something on and go there. But as Mark said, we're talking about onboarding. What does that really mean? It means that you are prepared to bring a new person to the company through a marketing technique, through a phone call, through dialogue with people, and you're able to tell them how to get started. And I don't mean just in one day, because we've covered that. It's not just a one-day event. It's not a 2-day or a week event. It's an ongoing event. It happens throughout the entire process. It could take a year. But you have to be educated yourself in order to do that. Now, obviously, if you're brand new, you don't know how. So what do? You point up. You introduce people. You should be doing that anyway. That's part of the onboarding process, is to make sure everyone is connected to a handful of people so that they can get questions answered, they can get support. So I'll give you a little bit of a review, but I have a question that I'm going to ask, and if Colleen or Shirley, whoever can do this, I want you to type this question into the box so that by the time I get to the slide, people will have an answer. And I'm asking all of you to come up with an answer. That's what I'm asking you to do. So the question is, basically, after onboarding a person the first day, getting them a welcome letter, a welcome document, a getting started document, showing them how to go to their wallet, how to pay it forward, and all that, getting registered at a few companies, Power of 3 and also 7 Rings. After that is completed and you've spent a few days with some dialogue with your new member, your new person, your new partner, what is the most important task that you could, not only the new person, but what you should be doing on a regular basis? Most important task. Now think about it, and then we'll you put it in the box. Please answer the question. If you don't know, put in I don't know. I'm not sure. I need help. But we're going to talk about that today, and that is the topic of onboarding part 3, because this is where the activity begins. So what income generating activity should you be performing? So we'll go over to there. I'm going to share my screen a little bit. I don't know if you had any comments there, Mark, but I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, see if I can get over there.
Oh, fine. That's great. I'll let you know when it's there. Okay, it's there. I see it.
All right, so I'm going to go full screen now, so let's do that. I know that's probably not there. Here goes the slideshow from the current slide. There we go. So let's go back a little bit. Let me do a little bit. Look, here's where you need to look at a few videos. These are compensation videos, so we know. Once you watch the replay, you'll be able to write those. And by the way, those particular videos are in the welcome letter. If you don't have a welcome letter, Colleen, if you would write in there where they need to send an email to get the welcome letter now, or you can contact your person that referred you. They should have one.
Hey, Joe, Joe?
Yep.
Can you go back to that slide, please? I want to comment.
Go back to that slide?
Yeah, the one that you were just on. Yeah, right here. I want to say this to the Breakfast Club family, those that have been here and those that are just coming. This is very important. And the reason I'm saying this is the other day, I got some information about people not wanting, basically the message I was getting is that they didn't want to take the time to go through this to learn what it's about. And that's a big mistake. And it's a part of the onboarding process. It's a part of learning what you need to do to share and teach the people that you bring into your business. The videos are not long. One is 24 minutes, and one is about 9 minutes. And then the longest one would be the co-op business model, which is a little less than an hour, but it'll tell you what we do and what we're about. You have to do this. In other words, Joe, if you went out and you bought a business or a franchise, would you not get a manual or instructions as to how the franchise should be run so that you're always in compliance with the company as a franchisee?
You absolutely would. In fact, when you buy McDonald's, you don't buy a building. You don't buy a process. You buy a manual. The manual used to cost $250,000. It's probably $500,000 and up now.
Right.
Yeah, correct. You buy the manual.
Yeah, the same thing applies here. It's a part of the system. It's a part of compliance. It's a part of everything. And you need to go through this to get some understanding as to what you're involved in. You have a micro business enterprise. And if you don't know how to run that business, it's not going to work for you, no matter how much time we spend to help you. I just wanted to say that, Joe, because I know you've spent probably 30-something hours now on this, and I don't want to see that go to waste. I mean, so we need to, do it more than once. I know I have. And, I just wanted to get that in there.
Well, good. In fact, let me expand on that because, over 20 years, about probably 19 years ago, one of my favorite movies, I have watched the movie. I'm going to guess. I know people are going to think I'm a little off with this, but I probably watched it 100 times. And I would watch it again if it came on. I actually have it on my recording. And it's a phenomenal movie. It's about culture and so on. And it's called The Breakfast Club. And it was about these students who had detention on a Saturday. So if you have never watched it, it's a fun movie. It's pretty cool. Some great stars in there. And I was always a fan of that. And then in one of the companies, I wanted to have communication every day. So every morning I would meet with my upline, their people, my people, and we originally started it with people, inviting people from all walks of life, all businesses, brick and mortar, didn't matter. We invited everybody to come in and listen to how to operate a successful business. What did it take? And we had people coming in and participating and asking questions. And at some point, I decided to call it the Breakfast Club. And we had it every morning, Mark. It was Monday through Friday. We're talking 18 years ago here, or something like that. And it was every single morning. and we just got our day started. That was the object, is to get your day started. Now, Mark talks about this here, the videos. This is how you get your business started, by understanding this. Now, you may not get it the first time through. We're still listening. We're still getting educated on the comp plan, how it really works, because this is an entirely different model than anything I have ever done. I didn't even know, didn't even have a clue what a cooperative business model was. Did not know what it was until a couple months ago. Certainly I heard of it, but I didn't understand the concept. And then after Dr. Needham explained this, and that's in that video 3, which is a little less than an hour, it explains it. What we are, what this business, how this model really works. So I think, as Mark said, this is extremely important to listen to these 3 videos over and over and over again, and making sure that your new partners, your new members, look, we're all partners. It's a cooperative business model. It's a cooperative effort. So do your part and listen to these. Now, the way to get them, again, is get that welcome letter. So thanks for that comment, Mark, because it's extremely important. This is the beginning of understanding. Look, people want to know in business, what is it that you want me to do? And how much are you going to pay me to do it? Well, there it is. It's right there. All 3 of these deal with that. All right. This is a little review. You have to establish a game plan in business. Most businesses fail. The second reason for failure is poor record keeping. In other words, you're disorganized. You don't have your day organized. You don't have your week, your month. There's no projections. This is a serious business, and I'll tell you how I know that. Because there are millions. I think the statistic is 20 million households in the United States are operating on these platforms. That means there's probably 3-4 people there. There's millions and millions of people operating like this. And I guarantee you, since 97% of them are not successful, obviously they're doing something wrong. It all starts with a game plan, a clear, concise mental picture of the thing you want to attain. And our job is to make sure this company succeeds. The only way you're going to do that is to participate. Learn your job. Be educated. Continue educating yourself in all fields. Write down a list of things you'd like to be educated in. If you can't find it in the back office, then you call someone. And there it is. Clear, concise mental picture of the thing you want to achieve, and write it down. Key things to start a business. You got to create a routine. Now, I asked this question earlier, and I'm going to put it up in a second. But here, the routine you need to create, 90% of that routine has to be spent searching for new members. Now, you call that recruiting, you call it what you want, but you got to find new members. In our company here, getting 3 new members who also will find 3 new members. It's not your husband, wife, kid, your cousin, and you say, I'll pay it forward, just come in. If they don't do anything, you're going to stall the process for everyone, because we all are operating from the concept of helping one another. This is not I didn't make this up. This is an absolute fact that in order to be successful, the successful people spend 90% of their time, especially in the first year, looking for new members. Now, one of the difficulties is, and you'll see this next week, we're going to talk about this, is prospecting. That is the most difficult task to perform in all of this. Getting educated, learning, listening, all that's one thing. The most difficult thing, as we all know, since nobody likes to recruit, nobody likes to call it referring people, whatever you want to call it, you still have to find people who are interested in managing a business from home. Those who don't spend the time doing that can never be successful. unless you get lucky, which I don't know. Maybe one person I knew that got lucky in this industry in 20-some years. There's the routine. Decide the working day and days that you're going to work. What days are that? That needs to be written down, a clear, concise picture of that. And then decide, well, on Tuesdays when I work, what do I do? Coming to the Breakfast Club is not work. This is an educational time. You can establish the days and the time. And when that time comes, you sit down and you spend 90% of that time looking for new people. How? That's going to be the question. How do I prospect? Who do I prospect? Decide what activities. That means, are you looking for the people? 90% of the time is spent looking for them, but how? What activity are you performing? Are you sending emails? Are you making phone calls? Are you using social media? Now, in our company, they don't want us to go on social media and spam and say, look, go to my website. Here it is, and put your referral link. You're not allowed to do that here. And it's a precautionary measure. But you can tell them about a company and contact me and, send them to your phone number, your email. Personally, I don't use social media for that. I have a database that I use, and I have other ways. I like to cold call, so that's another story. I like to search out communities of people already established in the industry that would like to look at something new and a new concept. That's what I do. There it is. Put time aside for your education. That is not the 90%. That is aside. That's the 10%. Spend an hour, couple hours a week learning. So write down what it is you need to learn. Is it the comp plan? Is it prospecting? Is it language? Is it the communication? You need to do that. And that routine, in that, we just said it, you've got to learn to communicate your message effectively. And to do that, I'll let Mark talk about that right now. There's only that I can see in all these years, and not because I created this, because technically I didn't. I just put it together. Over 20 years of education on people teaching me over and over again how to communicate my message to people. I was fortunate enough early on to have somebody teach me the language I needed, how I needed to behave on the telephone, even in an email, even on social media. How do I respond to people? What words do I say? Do I keep chasing them if they miss an appointment? How do I do that? What do I say to them when they missed an appointment? These are critical steps to your success. Without them, you're not going to have success. And the statistics prove it. 97% don't get there. There has to be a reason. One of them is that you don't have a real plan. And that plan includes the things we're looking at right here. So, Mark, I'll let you just talk about the communication class right now. We are going to run a special on that. So,
yeah, again, we say time and time again, terminology and perception, it has to make sense. I was doing some research actually yesterday, and even though the biggest thing on the internet today is education, that's trillions of dollars a year, education. But I also, in my research yesterday, I found that people spend thousands of dollars on communication. And I said, oh my goodness, that was kind of shocking to me. But then when you think about it, and just what we just seen, without the proper communication, you really can't run your business, whether it's online, offline, brick and mortar. You have to know how to communicate with that interested party or the person that walks through the doors of your brick and mortar business. You can't talk to them just anyway. You have to be able to answer their questions. And the way to do that is through communication, through education and communication. Because without that, you can have the best product and everything like that. It still is going to create problems for you. So in our business, we're always looking for what? The interested party. And when we finally get that interested party, and you learn this in a communication class, you know, when we make that call and we give them the reason for that call, and when we tell them what we want them to do, and when we tie down that appointment, you know, those are the things that you learn in the class. When you do all of that, then you can learn how to keep the attention of that person and answer their questions. Because if you just get them, it doesn't matter how you get them, if you still can't communicate with them, you may not keep them. If they don't think you can teach them anything or teach them what they need to know to run their business, it probably won't happen for you. But in this communication class, and I'll say this again, I took one of the most, not just popular, but the best one years and years ago. That was the Dale Carnegie Sales and Human Relations course. Paid a few $100s for that. But when I took the communication class a few years ago, I said, oh my gosh, this is totally different. Plus it makes more sense. Because even though I was taking the Dale Carnegie Sales and Human Relations course, some things in there didn't turn out to be true. In other words, it didn't turn out to be right. Why? Because it wasn't a proper terminology. Sure, it was sales 101, so to speak, and whatever like that, but it still wasn't a proper terminology. Therefore, you know, I lost sales sometime and things like that, but I don't lose any today because I know how to communicate. Whether I'm in another city, at the grocery store, the post office, or whatever, I love to smile at people and talk to them because they're going to ask me what I do. They're going to ask me this and that or the other, and it just opens the door for me to use what I learned in the communication class because it's second nature to me now, and it makes me money. So it's very important that, you know, you take that class.
I can take you back a few years ago. Mark and I were not, we knew each other through the industry, but it wasn't just the taking of the class. It was because Mark mastered that class. That's how we became friends, to be honest with you. We knew each other, different networks together, but really never communicated. And because someone else had always brought him into the business and I never interfered with that. But after Mark was a student in that class, and out of all those people that year, there were about, I don't know, maybe 600 to 800 people that took the class that year. And out of that, of course, you know, Mark excelled in that. And you know, that's how our relationship blossomed. That's how we became partners. And it was really, even though I had other people who used to jump in on the Breakfast Club, certain uplines who I really don't care to mention, who come in and talk. But it wasn't until Mark mastered all this that I asked him, would he co-host with me here? And that's the way it's been ever since, because no one studied like he did. And that's really what it came down to. And so I know we spend a lot of time talking about that, but the truth is I ask people, did you take the class? I ask all the time, and they go, no. And I go, why not? I think they don't realize the importance of it when you take it. A couple of weeks ago, Angela, a new student, took the class, and afterwards she said, I owe you. I said, no, you've already paid for it. She said, no. And this is what her comment was, Mark. I owe you $100,000. I said, what? She, like you, Mark, had taken many classes. She'd been in the industry, $250,000 in business, you know, in the industry, in our industry here in the home business arena. Very accomplished, and said, I've been to the classes. This all makes sense. I've never had it laid out like this before. So I just encourage you. This is so important, this routine. Now I'm going to get to the question. What's the most important activity one can or task everyone should be performing on a daily basis? So Colleen or Shirley, open up your mic for me, and let's see if we have any answers whatsoever. This answer will surprise most people. But go ahead.
I got to find them again.
Colleen, what about you? Do you have any down there? Did you find anything? When you're on the call here on YouTube is where these questions appear.
Continuing to recruit 90% of the time.
So,
and getting them on the phone with an upline, Mark, Joe, or myself, or Colleen. Teach them how to replace themselves.
Very interesting. Who said that? If you don't mind me asking.
Kendra
Who was
Webb.
it?
Kendra Webb. Brian says,
it hasn't been brought up for a long time. Hold on. That hasn't been brought up for a long time, that answer. Very good, Andrew. Not the answer I'm looking for today. All these answers are good. They're all correct. Not the answer I'm looking for.
Pay it forward for at least 2 people within 48 hours.
Yeah, that's important. Absolutely. These are all important tasks, yeah.
And then Joe Ingenbar Sr. says, I have close to 200 members that I referred. I tell them to follow my step, but I feel I am alone with my team. In other words, how many people in this co-op?
Yeah, we can send it. Well, we'll get that question afterwards. Make sure we have his email address.
Okay.
So, all right, so let's go and let's take a look at this answer. Now, this is going to surprise a lot of people. This has everything to do with what we talked about today. And here comes the answer. Now, don't write on there. Now, if you haven't answered that, don't write in there, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Please don't do that. So here's the deal. The person was right. 90% of the time has to be spent. But doing what? See, the purpose of every single phone call. Mark said this a little while ago. We gave you hints here what the answer was. You have to create appointments no matter what. Here's why. Let's go through the routine. So the most important task every day is to set up appointments. Do you know that's what real estate people do? Do you know that's what insurance people do? They have a routine for themselves that without having appointments, they make no money. Without you having appointments, you're not going to make money. You're not going to be successful here without creating appointments. So what does that really mean? First of all, most people don't have a clue on how to set an appointment, or the fact that they actually need to do it. Now, most of the people in the industry don't talk about this. I was fortunate enough to be with the likes of Bob Safford, who taught me this. This is critical to your business, is setting an appointment. It's not just calling someone and sending an email and sending them to your site. That's an activity. But truthfully, that's not an income-generating activity. The only part of that process, the appointment setting, is the income-creating activity. Because without the appointment, you're going nowhere. You can have people look at your website all day long. Without getting an appointment, you're not moving forward. And most people have no clue how to do that. Again, in the class, you learn the steps to a phone call to make that appointment. Even if it's your friend who you said, look, I want you to look at this. You can't just ask them to look and not set an appointment with them to get back together to see if you're on the same page. Can't do that, or you'll never get a response. I'll ask this question if you feel comfortable answering. How many times, or have you ever told people to go look at it and they got back to you without you actually setting an appointment? And by the way, just setting an appointment doesn't mean you're going to talk to them again either. But you have a much better shot by setting the appointment. And here's the process. This is the process of that daily routine. You make a list. What does that mean? Well, a list of people that you need to contact. That could be people you know or people you don't know. It might be from a cold market list. It might be people you know from Facebook. But you've got to have a plan and a list of people on a regular basis and keep adding to that list. You might run it into somebody out in business and pick up their business card. They're going to have an email address on there. You might want to say hello to them, introduce yourself, and take their card and later give them a call. What would you say? Without the class, you're not going to know what to say. I'll be honest with you. not effectively. As Mark said, he learned things in the Carnegie course. But some of the things turned out not to be true, right? The terminology wasn't correct. We teach you that terminology from the masters of the industry, past and present. But you got to make the list. You've got to why? Because what is your activity? 90% has to be searching. Who are you going to search? If you don't have a list, how would you search? And in my opinion, working just social media, just going back to see who goes to your website or back and forth with a letter, with what is that word I'm looking for? A text, not just a text, but a note back and forth. What do they call that? You know,
message.
Yeah, messaging. Thank you. A messaging back and forth. But if you don't know what to write on that message, if you don't know if you've sent somebody to a certain place and they didn't go, what do you do? So for me, it's make a phone call. So the object and the objective here of having the list and having some form of communication with them, whether it is the phone call, but it is getting on the telephone and having a dialogue verbally with them. You need that phone number. And during that process, Mark said it again. If you missed it, here's what he said. You make the introduction of who you are. You tell them the reason you're calling. You tell them what you would like them to do. And you set an appointment and tie down the appointment. If you don't know how to do that, most of your phone calls will be a failure. Unless you can get a good friend who just does anything you tell them to do. But in business, that's not going to happen. Imagine making an appointment to show a home. Calling the person, they want to sell their home, and you don't make the appointment to get people over there. Imagine people call and say, I want to look at a house, and you have no appointment to do it. In today's world in real estate, you're not just knocking on a door. You need to make the appointment to show the home. The same thing here. You show them and tell them what you want them to do, and then there is a technique. And that's what you learn in the class is techniques on how to set these appointments. And don't take no for an answer if they say, I'm not setting an appointment. I'll just call you after I review it. There is a response to that. Do you know how it is? Do you know what it is? Do you know what to say to someone who says, I'm not going to look at that? Even if it's on Facebook, they say, I'll look, but I'm not going to call you back. Or I'm not going to set an appointment. I'll call you back when I feel like it. You can't operate a business like that if you want to be successful. You must make an appointment with them, and you must know how to do it, and you must know what the tie down is. How do I tie that appointment down? How do I make sure that I've communicated a message that we're going to meet tomorrow at 4 p.m.? How do I do that? That's called a tie down. You tie it down. You make them aware that your time is very valuable, and I'm sure that my time is valuable. I'm sure yours is also. So there's a process to do that. This is the process. Right here, these three things make up the entire activity of your business. When I say activity, income-generating activity. I'm not talking about education. I'm not talking about papers and and filing and so on. I'm talking about income-generating activity. It's right in front of you. That's the process in most businesses. List, who do I market to? How do I get my information in front of them? I set the appointment. I make the time to do that, and I make sure that they understand that this is my business and that this is what we need to do. So this is the final step to onboarding. Now, I should say is the final teaching on that. Onboarding goes on all the time. It should be ongoing all through the process, going over these steps, helping your member, getting together with people, creating a mastermind group where you work together and learn the process. Without taking the class, you're not going to be able to have anybody in any kind of group to work together because they won't know what to do. You can't hand them a script. The terminology that you use on the telephone or in a message creates a perception, and that perception had better make sense to the listener, or you lose them. So, I don't know if I ever asked the second question, did I? Don't even remember what it is now. But either way, this is what people need to do. If we have any comments, you can bring them forward. And or Mark, I'm sure you have comments here.
Yeah, I do. Not only is the onboarding process ongoing, so is the education. It's always ongoing because, again, the more educated you can get about your business and how to grow your business and how to communicate with people in your business, the more successful your business is going to become. So those are two things that are hand in hand. Onboarding, education, all the time, all the time. And like I said earlier in the broadcast, that I found out that education is the most sellable product on the internet. It's education, trillions of dollars. So, and as you know, with some of the programs that we have, one of them involves a lot of education, and I mean tremendous education. I've learned from it already. You know, you never get so good or whatever that you can't learn anything. I have a saying that I always keep my patent office open. I want to hear what people have to say because you never know what you're going to learn. And then when you learn those things, then you can teach them. If they're worthy of teaching, you can teach them to your team and other people that will make them better, that makes you better, that makes us all better. And I do want to say this. Yes, we are a co-op, so everything that we do is to help each other. And there are over 18,000, for the gentleman's class, there's over 18,000 student customers in the programs that we're talking about and growing by the day. And these, and a lot of people are newbies, as they call them. They're just coming into the industry. And if they don't have the right training, if they don't have no communication or whatever, they may not be there too long, regardless of how great the programs that we have, John. We have some great programs. What we're doing, it's never been done before. That's why a lot of people don't necessarily understand or get it right off. It's never been done before. But if you learn it, if you get that communication class and you learn how to talk to people and you learn how to teach them, in other words, what we're saying is lean on us, let us, in other words, lean on us and let us teach you how you can help other people so they can lean on you. And then the process goes over and over. That's how you build your team. Let us teach you how to be dependent on us so that we can teach you how to be independent in your business, and it'll grow your business. And guess what? We all benefit. Why? Because we're co-op. But you got to understand what a co-op means. That's why I said on that other slide, those three important things, those two compensation videos, and also the video by Dr. Needham on what a co-op is. You get that down, you understand what you have is a micro business enterprise, but you still have to know how to communicate in it. I'll leave it with that, Joe.
Well, as you see there on the screen, this is not the end. Never. Education never ends. So I encourage you to do what Mark just said. Get educated in communication. Learn what we talked about today. And how do you do it? I'm sure Shirley has put it up there on the screen on how to get in touch with. And in fact, if you look at your welcome document, that PDF, it tells you about the class. So it's important that you do that. Without these steps, I tell you, success will not be coming. As Einstein has taught us over the years, education is not the learning of facts. It's the training of the mind to think. And that's what this class is about. The very first section of the class says, this is not all about scripts. It's about thinking. Thinking. And that's what we teach you to do in that class, is to think about your business, how to think about it, how to think about your communication, how to think about your dialogue when you're speaking with someone, not just routinely answer questions. think about what you're doing.
And Joe, I can truthfully say that when I came out of that class, I had a different mindset than what I had when I went in. It wasn't like, well, I think I know all of this, or I heard this before, or whatever. I went in with an open mind, and I came out with that type of mind that Einstein was talking about. You know, you have to train your mind. So if you have a different mindset and you get that in a class, I mean, it can take your business to all types of levels.
We're going to be playing a video next week about paradigms. You might want to look up that word, paradigms, and it's we're going to be playing a video that we'll be using in our marketing. So with that, this is Joe Shoup with our co-host Mark Stevens and Shirley and Colleen taking care of business back there. We appreciate it. If you have any questions, you can get them over to the email that they put up there on the chat, and that is at the Breakfast Club Broadcast at gmail.com. The Breakfast Club Broadcast at gmail.com. Questions and comments and so on, and we'll be sure to get back with you. And we will look forward to seeing you next week at the Breakfast Club. And we appreciate you being here and listening, and hopefully you take advantage of the information and learn how to properly run and communicate your business. So have a great day, everybody. We'll see you next week at the Breakfast Club.
Peace and blessings, everyone.